Hmm. Fuck. What's going on here? Hmm. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm live. Hang on. Ooh, that's pretty. So amazing. Hey, Game Vet, what's up, man? Game Vet, what are you doing tonight, man? Did you drive to Chicago? Did you bring your truckload of stuff to Chicago, Game Vet? I heard you said you were trucking. You know what's funny, Game Vet? It's probably just me and you right now, man. I'm trying different hours. I'm trying different hours. Oh, hang on. Hey, Game Vet, I'm trying out a Wi-Fi booster thing right now. It might work. I'm really hoping it works. I had a I had a massive crash the other day. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Great. Great. Oh, my cell phone. Hey, PBR, what's up, man? PBR, what's going on, brother? How was your night? Game Vet, PBR, you guys are awesome. You know what? I listened to Goof on SOR. That was kind of fun. I, I don't know if you guys liked it. You didn't like it? PBR didn't like it. Hmm. Hmm. Well, I'm trying to be myself. You know, PBR, I have to tell you a secret. In Game Vet 2, you guys are all stars. But a lot of these guys are talking smack about me. Oh, okay. He just mirrors your stuff. I'm not trying to mirror your stuff. I'm just trying to make the chat room keep going. Right? Right? Don't you guys believe the chat room is kind of like where it's supposed to be? Like if the chat room isn't promoting your stuff and sharing it in their social media in their own regard, then it's garbage. I'm just saying. Or a parrot, right? PBR, a parrot. Some people are parrots. I wish Green Man was here. Green Man was what told me to play this cool Art Bell video, and now he's not here. What the fuck? I always thought that Scientology, they don't believe in doctors, right? They believe that God should heal them. That's an expensive ass religion to belong to. Scientology. You gotta be rich as fuck to be in Scientology. Come on. I want to play some shit, but I just want to see if the ghost will make some shit move. I want to see if the ghost will break something. Oh man, all these refrigerators always come on. What's up, everybody? What's up? I'm not jumping in chat room today. I want to see you guys go off. What should we look at? All right, we'll go to my YouTube.
I still remember the moment when I found out that John Candy had died. It was devastating news. Not only lost a very funny man, but we'd also lost a genuinely nice and decent person. Before I get too specific, I need to acknowledge this 2019 article by Mike Stern. In it, he asks the question, where have all the John Candys gone? Why are so few people and even fewer celebrities that are I was a huge John Candy TV. First as a syndicated program that played on our local ABC affiliate at like 2 a.m. on the weekends, and then later on when the show transitioned to Friday nights on NBC. To me, these folks were even funnier than the Saturday Night Live cast. Among my favorite characters were these guys, Bob and Doug McKenzie, and Martin Short's Ed Grimley was just so darn funny, I must say. But this guy was the best of the best. You know, regardless of who he played on SCTV, You could tell he had a real affection for that character. Among my favorites were the fish and musician, Johnny LaRue, and even though it was just a one-time thing, I loved it when he was Theodore Cleaver all grown up. And as SCTV became a known quantity here in the States, it didn't take long for Hollywood to come a-knockin'. Movies like Splash and Home Alone demonstrated that Candy didn't need to be the main character to be a memorable one. And then later on, when he did headline movies like Uncle Buck and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, it was clear that he made everyone else around him even better. Here's the deal with John Candy. He genuinely liked people. He wasn't one of those celebrities who felt like they were above everyone else. He thought of himself as an equal to everyone that he came in contact with. Which brings us to John Candy's final act. It is common knowledge that John passed away while filming the movie Wagons East in Mexico. What is not so commonly known, however, is what John was doing just a few hours before. You see, he really valued those people on the set that were there specifically to help him. He appreciated all of the little things that they would do for him throughout the day, and so as a means of saying thank you, after shooting would wrap for the day, John would often look for ways to express his appreciation to them. And on that particular evening, John had decided to make lasagna for his assistants. Can you imagine that? The star of the movie that you're working on not only wants to spend time with you after work, but also wants to make you dinner as a way of saying thanks? I know. It is really hard to imagine these days. Hence the title of Mike Sturm's article, Where Have All the John Candys Gone? Because you see, John was like that all of the time. Just ask his kids who sat down with reporter Ryan Parker a few years ago to reminisce about their father. In that article, his kids talked about John's eagerness to work with all sorts of charities, including Make-A-Wish and the Pediatric AIDS Foundation. His daughter Jen recalled that her dad liked to make people laugh and feel good, and with certain kinds of charity work, especially with kids, he could do that, and it made him feel good. I know that most of us have felt that feeling before, right? When you someone else and you get a really good, warm feeling inside. Apparently, John was hooked on that feeling. In another article that I read, I learned about John financially supporting a Little League hockey team because one of his childhood friends was the coach. But you know what? He didn't just throw money their way. He would come to the games, sit in the stands, and eat a hot dog while visiting with their parents, sometimes complimenting them on their kids when one of them would do something great on the ice. When John's movie Splash premiered, he rented out a theater and invited the entire team and their families to enjoy the movie with him. Another story that I read was about a time when John was invited to, of all things, a bachelor party. As this particular party started to get a bit out of hand, it became clear that an older member of the party, the father-in-law, I believe, was becoming a bit uncomfortable with everything going on. The person recounting the story admitted that there were girls dancing provocatively and that for a time he lost track of both Candy as well as this older partygoer. However, as things settled down, he realized that he hadn't seen John for quite a while and set out to find him. As he searched throughout the house, he found John and the father-in-law sitting at the kitchen table, telling stories like they'd been friends forever. Apparently, John had noticed the man's retreat and had followed him into the kitchen to keep him company. Yep, I've just got to say it. They don't make them like they used to. In my life, I don't know if there will ever be many folks funnier and kinder than John Candy. Somewhere I read that Candy's true talent was that he would get you to laugh at him at first, but then ultimately he would have you laughing with him. There was a real sense of honesty in his eyes, even when he was on the screen. And when we, the audience, looked at his face, whether it was Candy himself or a character that he played, we all saw ourselves. And we were reminded not to take ourselves all that seriously. John Candy knew that. He'd figured it out. And that's what made him so darn wonderful. All right, that's it. Let's close with this picture from good old SCTV. From what I understand, Johnny LaRue was one of Candy's favorite characters to play. Sure, LaRue was a bit on the smarmy side, but he was also incredibly likable. And John, above all else, recognized the value in being likable. So who was your favorite John Candy character? Let me know in the comments section, and please share your memories there with me as well. I love reading your comments. I really do. And while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be absolutely honored if you would subscribe to my channel. I talk about music, movies, television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.
I see a bad egg when I look at your niece. She is a twiddler, a dreamer. A thing in her life or her career as a student, seriously. You son of... Yeah!
Shark Pup is kind of funny. Yeah.
I wonder if I could ask about the Slender Man phenomenon, which I remember, I've my children are grown up now.
Yeah, PBR is dry, I think. I don't know. I'm worried. Back in 2009, I'll tell you guys a story. Back in 2005, I had got elected into a job. I was excited. I really wanted to help people. But shortly after I got elected, I figured out the people I got elected with were scumbags. So I didn't want to deal with them. So I was like, fuck them. I don't want to deal with scumbags. Yeah. I thought you had the same idea as me. They're just using me to fucking get elected. So I was like, fuck you guys. But anyway, you learn from that shit. Dolan. What's up, PBR? PBR, I got to say something to PBR. PBR, you and I, we're going to talk tonight. Me and you, PBR. I have always been brave to do shit. I've never stood back. If something's real and something's true, you got to fight for it. Right? I'm glad you guys are here. You guys are fucking awesome. You know what? I gotta play 2 minutes of Dolan. I'll be right back. Wait, sorry. 8 minutes of Dolan. I'll be right back. You guys are awesome. I'm going to turn on the light. I turned on the light for you guys, PBR. I turned on the light for you guys. Let me know if you see any ghosts come out. Some ghosts might come out for you guys. Might be kind of fun. Nick Redfrom. Oh, is this the show? Nick Redfrom. The Richard Dolan show from 02318. An interview with Nick Redfrom. Nick Redfrom knows how to write and how to sensationalize. I would assume, unless he's a master and knows his shit.
Now, but when they were, I think 2008, 2009, 2010, if I'm recalling correctly, was when I was hearing about this Slender Man internet meme. Back then, my kids were just approaching their teen years. So they were like 10, 11, 12.
What's up?
And I remember this was...
Hey, everybody, I got to take a 2-minute break. Please behave in my chat room. Please be cool. I trust you guys. I really do trust you guys. I really do.
It was like the big thing among a lot of young people. Someone had created this character. But then, even before you wrote about it, I was hearing that there were people having Slender Man sightings. And I just thought, what the hell is this all about? And then you wrote a book about it. And I'm just curious, like, what makes it a book? And what do you suspect has become with the Slender Man phenomenon?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a very strange story, Rich. And basically, it began in It began in 2009, and with a guy named Eric Knudsen. Now, there's a website called Something Awful, and they ran this sort of kind of like a contest/competition to see who could come up with the creepiest supernatural figure for the internet era. You know, kind of like a modern day equivalent of Freddy Krueger, that kind of thing. Or Jason, you know, from the Friday the 13th movies, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And numerous people entered this contest and uploaded photographs and sort of Photoshop pictures and artwork, and not hoaxing, I should stress. It was genuinely a contest, you know, to invite anybody to come up with a really creepy picture. A lot of people took part. One of them was a guy named Eric Knudsen. And Eric Knudsen created the image and the name of the Slender Man. And for people who don't know, the Slender Man looks like the definitive Man in Black. Got a black suit, white shirt, skinny black tie, and this very pale skin and a completely faceless face. No eyes, no nose, no mouth, no ears. It's just vague shadows where they should be. And these weird octopus tentacles like flicking out of its side. So it does look kind of creepy, to say the least. Now, literally within weeks, the whole phenomenon image of the Slender Man really took off big time, and you had blogs and websites and forums and chat rooms all set up in the name of the Slender Man, and there was an incredibly popular online show called Marble Hornets, which was like a found footage type show, like Blair Witch, but it was a series of 20-minute episodes which a bunch of guys put together, and they did a really good job of it. And you can watch all the episodes still on YouTube, and it's all, you know, like a fictional story of the Slender Man. Now, had it ended there, that really would have been the end of the story. But you're quite right when you said that after this, several months after the phenomenon began, and you had thousands and thousands of people obsessing on the Slender Man and talking about it, etc., etc. People then started to claim that they'd seen the Slender Man in the real world, in their bedroom, looking up to they'd look out the window and see the Slender Man looking in the window at them. and like lurking in the woods, that kind of thing. And the more they dug into it, the more they claimed to have seen the Slender Man in their dreams as well, as if like the Men in Black, he'd invaded their dream states. Now, the big question, of course, well, how could that be? And this sort of gets to the crux of the book and the phenomenon, or the theory, if you like, of what are known as thought forms or tulpas in Buddhist teachings. The idea being that if enough people focus and concentrate on something, we're talking, about possibly tens or hundreds of thousands of people with the Slender Man, which really does have a gigantic following. The theory is that if enough people focus on the imagery, you can create like a real world version of something that rather ironically never lived. It's the idea that the human mind can project and externalize something and give it a degree of self-awareness. And so that's one of the overriding theories, that the deep obsession on the part of hundreds of thousands of people obsessing on this image of the Slender Man has inadvertently, not rather than deliberately, has inadvertently created a real world version of the Slender Man, which has now sort of escaped the moorings of the human mind and is now its own independent entity, if you or entities, where different people see.
I can't take it. I have to find a Chicago Mothman story. Oh.
In southern Ohio and northern West Virginia, the legend of Mothman is as strong as it was 45 years ago. It's become part of the personality of Point Pleasant, where in December of 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed, killing 46 people. 2 of the dead were never found. But the stories of the creature that came to be known as Mothman began many months earlier.
And this is where all of your Mothman sightings started back in '66, November '66.
Jeff Walmsley gives tours showing people where the legendary 7-foot-tall winged man with glowing red eyes the size of baseballs was spotted at least 100 times between November 1966 through December of 1967. He also runs a Mothman museum. The first witnesses were 2 couples together at a town gathering spot, the power plant, which sounds like a lover's lane of the late 1960s.
As they got up closer, she said, "What is this guy doing standing in the road?" And she said, when the headlights looked at him, and she said the wings looked like angel's wings above its head, way above its head. And she said that's when the wings came out. And they said, that's not a man.
They say Mothman chased their car at incredible speeds. The women were said to be hospitalized for shock. The witnesses all described the same thing, a faceless, red-eyed freak who seemed to have a message to tell. But what was this message? Carolyn Marcella runs the local diner. Her sister saw interviews.
And it flew over top of her, and she looked up, and she said, when I seen them big red eyes, she said, we were out of there.
Lots of people see Mothman. Come on. Look at that scary picture of Mothman. I gotta turn off the light for a minute. That's scary. Mothman's way cool.
Can't tell you what the rest of it looks like.
A lot of respectable business people, young kids, older people, elderly. But the people that I've talked to, they just said, we were afraid that people would laugh at us and, think that we were crazy. But, they said, we know what we saw. And some of them said that it was a large bird of some sort. Others said it wasn't a bird.
How can any of this be explained? Critics say these sightings are really misidentified planes. Owls are just plain pranks. This is an area of chemical plants and military ammunition storage. It's an industry town on the Ohio River that didn't have the kind of environmental regulations it has today.
Somebody was up here fishing one day, saw this fluorescent green stuff coming out of the water, sort of like Jed Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies.
Could it have been some type of mutated bird of 50s and 60s sci-fi fear? Or was Mothman really here to warn the river people? Those sightings came to a terrifying climax when that bridge collapsed, killing 40.
So wait. Hold on. Mothman's here to warn people? I have to research this. I haven't seen Mothman in a while. I probably haven't seen Mothman in about 10 years. Why was Mothman warning me 10 years ago and not now? The fuck?
36 people and changing the area forever. The collapse was so extreme, it set federal regulations on bridge construction. And those Mothman sightings, they stopped too. You believe it?
I believe they saw something. Yeah, I don't doubt their stories one bit. I mean, personally, what it was, I know that they saw something that was out of the ordinary.
Something those witnesses and the people of Point Pleasant never forget.
If this is one more point blank Mothman story, I'm gonna barf.
Described as a humanoid creature with red eyes and giant wings, the Mothman first showed up to haunt locals in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Since then, Mothman has been tied to UFOs, Men in Black, and a terrible tragedy that occurred in 1967. But what was Mothman really? And what happened to the citizens of Point Pleasant after this winged monster first showed up? Here's the untold truth of Mothman. The sightings begin. According to the West Virginia Department of Commerce, Mothman was first seen on November 12, 1966, by 5 grave diggers near the town of Clendenin, West Virginia. The men described the otherworldly entity as a brown human being that flew over their heads. While that's generally regarded as the first official Mothman encounter, some folklorists claim that sightings go back for decades. According to stories, the being was seen in the early 1900s, then allegedly appeared throughout West Virginia during World War I and World War II. Each time, the description was the same: a large, winged creature with red eyes. The TNT plant. 3 days after showing up at the Clendenin Cemetery, Mothman made its second official appearance at an abandoned munitions factory in the woods outside Point Pleasant, known as the TNT plant. 2 married couples were driving around the plant late at night on November 15th when the beams from their car headlights hit a mysterious red-eyed creature beside the road. According to the story they told the police, the monster flew after their car and chased them back to the outskirts of Point Pleasant. Sightings and dreams. After the November...
I can't take it. You know, I understand Point Pleasant gets a lot of economy from their story. But there's like real stories all over Chicago. And they don't gather any money out of their Mothman stories. I'm trying to find them. Oh, here we go. 2 years ago, Chicago Mothman update. 2 months ago. sorry. I want to see what Mothman's up to. Pardon me. When it gets hot and warm and it's dark, Mothman's up to some. He's up to some shit. He's up to some shit, Mothman. When it's warm and dark. You know, I'm just playing this to make sure I know what he's up to. Mothman. Mothman's all over the place in Chicago. Come on. I'm just looking up for myself.
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Ondiavari Presents, the series where I bring you the creepiest real-life stories and locations from around the world. Before we begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss a future episode. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your The following stories were sent to me by my patron Jimmy. More about him later on. Recently, there has been a lot of talk about Mothman sightings in the Chicago area. This sounded interesting, so I decided to look into it and gather some of the reported sightings.
You know, why does this voice sound like somebody from Australia or somebody from England? And they're talking about Chicago Mothman sightings from 2 months ago. Come on. I said this shit 6 months ago. Mothman's everywhere. For fuck's sake. You know what's pissing me off? PBR and Game Vet. Everybody's ripping me off. Everybody's ripping me off. They're ripping off all my paranormal comedy. Comedy. I can't even talk. My cold is so bad. It won't go away. Here's what this guy writes. Recently, there has been a lot of talk about Mothman sightings in the Chicago area. This sounded interesting, so I decided to look into it and gather some of the reported sightings. Here are 4 of the most interesting sightings I came across. Enjoy! Exclamation point. This is Chicago Mothman shit. You know, there's no sports on TV. There's no sports on TV, so there's like cryptid talk is way second best.
Sightings. Here are 4 of the most interesting sightings I came across. Enjoy. Number 1. December 3rd, 2019. Part of my job is to routinely patrol the fence lines that surround O'Hare International Airport. I will sometimes have a partner with me, mostly new hires who are going through initial training.
I actually like this report. The number one, December 3rd, 2019. This is a great Mothman report. The video is Chicago Mothman sightings. You guys should be really excited because I'm in Chicago and I'm playing Chicago Mothman sightings. I'm sure everybody's bored. You guys should start throwing things around your apartments and houses because I'm playing Chicago Mothman sightings. Here we go.
Training. On the night of Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019, I was heading toward one of the airport cargo hubs. There are multiple hubs scattered throughout the airport. This particular one was the one located on Press Center Drive, and it houses at least 6 cargo companies. I was approaching the creek headed toward Montrose Avenue when I saw this large person standing down in the creek bed. I stopped, thinking maybe it was a trucker who decided to wander down there to take a piss. I put on my lights and stopped my vehicle and was preparing to get out when this man turned toward me and I saw 2 very bright red eyes. This thing appeared to be looking straight at me, and then it turned away and walked away. As it did, it unfurled a set of wings and began to flap them. It looked like a large goose when it wants to take off into the air. It took off into the air and was gone into the darkness. I was left there wondering what in the hell just happened and what I had just seen. I'm going to be blunt here. I don't believe in hobgoblins and little green men. I'm sure there must be a rational explanation for this. I have a reputation for being grounded and level-headed, and I have worked too hard to get where I am to have that all trashed by saying I saw a red-eyed flying man. Yet that is what I saw. I am torn between reporting this and keeping my mouth shut to protect my retirement. It was about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Now, it scares me to talk about this because I don't want to bring bad juju on myself, she said over the phone. I was in the backyard cleaning up and I look up in the air. It was a beautiful moonlit night and the moon's out, but it's kind of cloudy. I've got tiki torches in the backyard and those really big balls that light up like half a block. I'm by myself outside cleaning and gathering stuff off the table, and I see 4 humongous, they looked humongous, people. They looked like men. They were all black and they had big wings. I mean, huge wings. The wings were not feathery. They were bat wings or demon wings. I looked at them and there were 4 in a row, and they looked like they were standing up horizontally as they flew. They were muscular, they were big, and I looked up and went, oh my God, what the fuck is that? They didn't hear me. They were too high up to hear me. But 2 of them looked directly at me, and when they looked at me, they had red eyes. I freaked out because they looked directly into my eyes. I ran into my house and started to cry because I was freaking out. My cousin, who has since passed away, said, what's wrong? What happened? What's the matter? I was too afraid to speak. I just wanted to go back outside to make sure they were gone. I went out there and they were gone. They never came back. I was afraid for weeks after that to go outside. Number 3, November 26, 2019. I'm a truck driver. I was at the airport picking up a load at Nippon Cargo Airlines. I was already backed into a dock and was standing away from the truck, smoking a cigarette while they loaded my truck. I was looking toward the runways in the direction of a tunnel, and that is when I noticed something that looked like a large bird standing just outside of the fence by the parking lot. It was not